Today I'm going to talk to you a little bit about managing test anxiety. Before we get into the meat of the presentation, one thing I will note, this is something that's come from a lot of experience working with students, but I'm not a licensed counselor, so if you have a really serious anxiety problem, you definitely should go see a counselor rather than just take what's worked with here. Whenever you have a problem with anxiety, if you're stressed out about something, a lot of times you'll hear from people who'll just say, well, you just got to relax, you just got to chill out. And it's usually said like it's something that's just done automatically, and it's something that should come naturally for people. A lot of times, though, this is easier said than done, but as you'll find out as we're doing this presentation, you'll find out that learning to relax is a habit that you can acquire. Part of the key to this, though, as you can see, is a habit of your mind, a way of thinking. And we'll talk a little bit about that type of thinking here in a little while. So whenever we're talking about anxiety, it helps to first understand a little bit about what's going on. And overall, one of the things I like looking at is exactly what's happening from the brain perspective whenever we're dealing with anxiety. For the purpose of what we're talking about here, I divide the mind up into an inner brain and outer brain. And there's a lot of other ways that you can divide up the mind, but this is a simple way for what we're talking about here. As far as the outer brain is concerned, we're talking, generally speaking, about our rational mind, whereas inner brain, we're usually talking about our emotional reactive mind. It's important to note that there's not really anything good or bad about either particular part of the brain. In fact, we really need both to be able to function. It's a problem when they end up getting out of balance. Looking at this inner brain versus outer brain, the emotional or reactive part of our brain is generally located in this area we call the limbic system. Now, the rational part of the brain is mostly located on the outside here. Now, why that's important is that most of our memories are also located in this outer part of the brain, but the brain is made in a really funny way that what controls our memories is down inside underneath that limbic system. And what that means is any signals that we need to control our memories have to pass through that limbic system. Now, another thing that has an impact on it, our emotional memories end up actually being stronger than our rational memories. Any memory that you have will be affected by the emotions. And on top of that, there's something called mood state dependent retrieval. And what that means is the mood that you were in whenever you store a memory needs to match the mood whenever you retrieve the memory. And we know all about this. In fact, we can see a real good example of this whenever someone makes us mad. Whenever someone does make us mad, we tend to remember every single time that they've made us mad. We also know about this whenever we're, say, depressed. It seems like all we can remember are all our sad times in our life. But we know that both of these things are a skewed point of view. We're not remembering things exactly correct. As far as anxiety or stress is concerned, we could think of it as neither just a mind reaction or a body reaction. In fact, it's both working together. So it doesn't really make sense to separate the two. Where this reaction actually comes from is a basic instinct that we're programmed with. We call it the fight or flight, and as we're coming to find out, there's also a freeze reaction. Now, what that means is when we're confronted with a threat, our body and mind give us one of three opportunities to act, and these are instantaneous reactions, not something that we really sit down and think about. We can fight against the thing that is threatening us, we can run away from the thing that is threatening us, or we will freeze up. Now, where does that give us a problem? Well, if we have a test And say the instructor is giving us this test, our instincts are telling us, well, honestly, our instincts are telling us that we want to fight that threat, so we can't fight our instructor. Or our instincts are telling us to run away screaming out of the room. Well, we can't do that. Our instincts are telling us something that we simply cannot do. Now, if you think, if your instincts are telling you one thing, and your rational mind is telling you another thing, and if your instincts are stronger than your rational mind, where does that put you? Think about a tiger in a zoo. The tiger in a zoo behind a cage is confronted with a situation where, say, someone is standing across outside the cage. The tiger sees a potential lunch and can't get to that. So what does the tiger start doing? The tiger starts pacing back and forth. Well, you'll see very quickly that tiger starts becoming stressed out because it cannot act upon its instincts. Because we cannot act upon our instincts and we have to behave in a socially accepted manner, in a rational manner, it's almost like we're stuck being a caveman having to function in our modern world. So what makes up anxiety? Well, anxiety has 4 basic components. The first of these are thoughts related to whatever it is that is stressing us. Thoughts like, will I succeed? Or will I fail? Or maybe even, oh no, not again, another test. Or I always fail whenever I have tests or quizzes. Or my brother does better than I do. Or my sister does better than I do. My other classmates are sure to finish this test before I am. As far as feelings, we might feel embarrassed that we're having to take this test, or we might even feel embarrassed that we're not sure we're competent enough to take this test. We might be angry, might be mad at the teacher for picking out a particular test question. Why did that teacher pick out this one test question? They have to know that that's one question I have problems with all the time. We might feel sad or inadequate to be able to complete the test. Another area for anxiety are actions that we might take. So, for example, usually these are not necessarily conscious actions. They're sort of things that we do unconsciously, like nail biting or pacing, or maybe we are a nervous eater, or we have nervous movements. So like we might shake our legs or tap our foot, or our hands actually might shake. Now these are some things that we want to pay particular attention to, because it turns out these things that we do unconsciously can be a warning sign to us that we are anxious. In addition to actions, our body also does some things that when we are under stress. So for example, we might start sweating. We might feel hot. We might feel cold. Our stomach might get upset. Our blood pressure may raise. Certain people may have problems of breaking out into highs. That's a body reaction to the stress. Heart rate may raise. Vocal cords may tighten up, so then their tone of voice may raise just a little bit. The things that we do, the actions and the things that our body does, cannot be fooled. We can fool ourselves into thinking, and maybe we can hide our feelings about stress, but whenever it comes down to it, those subconscious actions will come out. So one thing that I would have you do is think about some of those kind of things, some warning signs that you know tell you that you're definitely stressed out. On our next section, we're going to actually start utilizing those as warning flags that we might need to develop a better habit for reacting to test anxiety.